We have attendance and apologies, Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We have a leave of absence from Councillor Parry and an apology from Councillor Scanlon for this evening.
Thank you. Councillors, declarations of financial and proximity interest and interest affecting impartiality as per declarations made on the 17th of March. Now I need a confirmation on the vote of the item C1.5 that went through last week, which is the collection of overdue rates. We believe that those against were myself, Councillor Congredon, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Lucas, but the staff weren't sure if I could just have that confirmed. It's okay? It is. Thank you. Councillor Richards, are you joining us? Can now move to item C1.6. Councillor Kiley.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I'm going to save a little bit of time. I want to withdraw this motion in favour of Councillor Zanino's motion. Item C1.8, Councillor Zanino's kindly incorporated my concerns into his motion, and I think it will save us some time. Thank you.
Thank you. Item C1.7, also Councillor Kiley.
On a similar note, Mayor, I note that last week, item 5.2, proposed construction of Henley Brook Avenue, Nangara Road to Reed Highway, covered the issues that are of concern to me, so I also withdraw this motion.
Councillor, now takes us to C1.8, Councillor Zanino. The actions to address the displaced kangaroos, West Swan Road.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, I move that 1. The CEO authorise the immediate temporary closure of Walcott Avenue, and I'm adding there west of Murray Road, West Swan, to ensure the safety of wildlife and the residential community until a satisfactory plan can be actioned to minimise the endangerment of kangaroos and the native fauna, given they are taking refuge on road verges to find food, resulting in their vehicular injury and death. 2. The City initiates a stakeholder forum to enable discussions and favourable outcomes to deal with the displacement of the kangaroo population as a result of urbanisation and development in the City of Swan. 3. City staff prepare a stakeholder agenda to include and not limited to relocation, feeding, watering, population control, and this is where I've added, and the viability of purchasing a refuge. 4, delete the City, so it reads, request the CEO write to the Minister for Planning, the Minister for Environment and all relevant stakeholders such as developers, wildlife groups to participate in this forum. And the reasons for the motion: 1, the City needs to take a proactive and facilitating role to resolve the issues of the kangaroos roaming on Walcott Avenue from the land owned by the West Australian Planning Commission and the developing residential urban land in this area. And 2, solutions need to be developed urgently to aid in the relocation of kangaroos to safe habitats, thereby minimising kangaroo deaths and injuries, as well as potential harm to the community.
Second up, Councillor Colley's hand was first up. Is there anyone against?
Question.
That's dead. I'll take the amendment first. Councillor Lucas.
Yes, I'd like to make changes to item 1. And the amendment would read, authorise the CEO to temporarily close Walcott Avenue at the intersection of West Swan Road for a period of 4 weeks. This 4-week period is commenced from Monday, April 5th to Sunday, April 25th inclusive, or to coincide with the planned road surfacing works. 2 and 3 stay the same, and Councillor Zanino's already amended his point 4, so I won't touch that. Thank you.
Okay. The mover and a seconder? No.
Or just if I could ask a question to staff through you, Mayor, if the roads were being resurfaced, if the road was being resurfaced, they would, as a normal protocol, close off and manage traffic along that road. Would that be correct?
That's correct. Mr. Coaten?
Traffic will be managed. The road won't necessarily be closed for the whole duration of that work, though.
Councillor Johnson, you got a question?
Okay, I'll start with a question. We've still got an amendment hanging, so I'll second the amendment and I'll follow on with a question if I may.
Yep.
The question is, how long can the city temporarily close a road for? To the staff. Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Coaten?
In that form, if it's for the CEO to do it, the maximum period is 4 weeks. If council were of the view for a longer closure, then it would be necessary to undertake public advertising. And then if any objections were received in relation to that advertising, then a report would have to come back to council for the consideration of the matter. But staff do have authority to close without advertising for up to 4 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Coaten.
So just a follow-on question, Mr. Mayor. So what it says in the officer comment is that I understand that Pete are planning to request to close the road for a period of 24 hours to allow for a gradual, slow, less stressful relocation purpose. Pete have indicated that such a process will be commenced soon. So in the event that this relocation can take place within 24 hours, 48 hours or however long Pete require to do this relocation, is that the temporary period? Is that the duration of the temporary period is the question I'm asking.
Mr. Coaten?
You're asking me how long to close a road for?
I guess it's not.
I think it's a council resolution. It's
yeah. Oh well, I guess Mr. Mayor, I'm probably really asking the mover and the seconder whether that's what their intention is, to close it sufficiently to allow the kangaroos to be relocated to Pete's safe location.
So I assume you're talking
That's different to relocating the kangaroos, isn't it?
Mr. Mayor, I think it's self-explanatory. It's to close it and get this committee together of all the different stakeholders, and hopefully they will come up with a solution to the problem. If this committee can't come up with an appropriate solution, then obviously it would have to either be referred back to council or after 4 weeks the road will be reopened.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, just a point of order is that the use of the word committee isn't in the item. It's I might be being pedantic, councillor, but it is a stakeholder forum, not a committee.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Lucas is the mover of the amendment.
Yes, thank you. The reason I've moved this amendment is to give us a definite time period to work within. As Mr. Coaten has just explained, the CEO has the power to notify people within the next few weeks that the road could be closed. It should take 1 or 2 weeks to get that arranged. If the closure is to be longer than 4 weeks, we need to go out and publicly advertise it, assess the submissions and do a report back to council, and this process could take several months before any road closure comes into place. So the road will remain open for several months. So if the motion is purely about the safety of the kangaroos, then let's shut it as quickly as we can, not only for the safety of the kangaroos, but planned roadworks are planned to take place between the 7th and the 14th of April. So wouldn't it be much preferable if the road was closed at West Swan Road whilst those roadworks were undertaking? So the only people accessing west of Murray Road would be the local residents. It would dramatically reduce the traffic on that, so it would greatly improve the safety of our staff or the contractors undergoing the roadworks. And I don't say that lightly, councillors. You'd most probably be aware that a traffic controller was killed during the construction of the Reed Highway, and one about 3 weeks ago lost a leg. So conducting road works while leaving roads open is a serious business. So if the road was closed to local traffic only, it would greatly enhance that. In addition, I spoke to a local resident of Henley Brook on the weekend at Eltone Comes Alive, and they said they haven't seen a dead kangaroo along that section of Walcott Avenue for several weeks. So I support the main thrust of the motion, but what I'm saying is let's define the period that it's closed for. And I think 4 weeks should be sufficient for the relocation of the kangaroos. If Peter's talking about a 24-hour period, I'm giving them 4 weeks. Safety is important, so I'll leave it there, and I'll see what other councillors have to say. But I think to have a road closure in Councillor Zanino's point 1 and not to put a time frame on it is very bad. And I've seen the email from former Councillor Zek today, more or less indicating the 2 cars in the photographs must be people from Brabham, because people from Henley Brook wouldn't drive in such a manner. I think, if we can close the road, let the contractors get on with upgrading the road surface as planned, it'll be the best outcome for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lucas. Councillor Johnson is a seconder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I asked questions on 10.3 about this because I was trying to compare the what was the best thing to do. Is it best to try to reduce the speed limit, or is it best to close the road? Clearly something needs to be done, so those appear to be the only 2 actions we can take. What I was told was it would take some months to reduce the speed limit, but a temporary 4-week closure of the road, and it is only a temporary 4-week closure of the road, is within the power of the CEO if he takes appropriate consultation and notification. So it seems to me that as there actually is a problem with kangaroos that needs to be addressed, and I've been there on several occasions to take a look, I've changed my point of view, and I do think a road closure is reasonable. I think that the closure of the road needs to be something that is shared equally by everybody. I think it's what Councillor Lucas is suggesting, to close it at West Swan Road, is a reasonable thing, because then that basically stops all the traffic along it, because there'll still be people driving up and down the side on the other side of Murray. So closing it like this will ensure the kangaroos are safe, ensure people are safe, and enable the city to upgrade the road. And by closing at West Swan Road instead of at Murray Street, I think everybody's interest will be focused on 2 things. Firstly, getting those kangaroos moved, and it says in the officer comment that Pete are intending to do this hopefully within a 24-hour period. And secondly, it will minimise the closure of the road, because it is reasonable for people in Brabham to be able to drive down to West Swan Road. So this will get everybody focused on getting the job, keeping the kangaroos safe, and getting this road upgrade done as soon as possible, and keeping the road open. So I think this amendment is in everybody's best interest. So I urge councillors to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Speaker against the motion? Councillor Zanino or Kylie, who wants to go first? Councillor Zanino.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, just to clarify a couple of points, Councillor Lucas said that you have to have a definite time, and he's saying you have to state 4 weeks. Just to clarify that point, I did speak to Mr Coton last week prior to the council meeting, and I discussed that with him, and he actually said to me it can only be closed for 4 weeks, and if a resolution isn't done within that time limit, then we can't close it, because technically we have to advertise it. And I says that's not a problem. 4 weeks should be more than enough, and I was happy. So Mr Coton advised me. He says, well, you can go ahead with the motion as it is, because you don't have to stipulate. It's there. I mean, everybody knows it's closed, but it's closed for 4 weeks. That's the reason why I didn't stipulate 4 weeks. Closing it at West Swan Road, quite frankly, just doesn't make any sense, because what you're doing is you're actually affecting the local residents. And that's one of the reasons why I said it has to be closed west of Murray Road. Now, I didn't stipulate whether it's 1 metre past West Murray Road, or it could be 100 metres, or it could be 200 or 300 metres, but west of Murray Road. That basically is quite adequate in the sense that a lot of the people that live in Murray Road and east of Murray Road and Ferguson Close obviously use West Swan Road to commute. The people that live west of that area, it would be a lot easier for them to go west to Drampilia rather than closing it at West Swan Road and then causing everybody to go west to Drampilia. The traffic obviously is going to be a lot less. The local traffic, because if you close it west of Murray Road, then it's only the local traffic that will be using it. The local traffic are aware of the problems. They will not be travelling at speed, and there will be virtually no traffic on that road, and it's not going to cause any problems. And it shouldn't cause any problems with the construction of the road. Therefore, councillors, I think that it should be left as it is, west of Murray Road. The inference of 4 weeks, that's there. Everybody knows that, including the officers. And I think it's not really in the best interest of the local community or anyone to turn around and close it at West Swan Road. Therefore, I can't support the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Speaker for the motion. Question, Councillor Congerton.
If I can address my question through you, Mr Mayor, to Mr Coden. The discussion in relation to the closure for 4 weeks in Councillor Zanino's motion, as against it up on the screen sitting from Councillor Lucas. If there is no provision for a time period, the statement being made will be an automatic 4-week closure. Correct?
Mr Caton?
I can't actually quite see the motion on the screen. I know it was changed a little bit, but my understanding of it would be that the closure would be up to 4 weeks, so it couldn't be any longer than 4 weeks. But if it was resolved before the 4 weeks, then it would be reopened, is how I would interpret it.
Yep. He's got it. Thank you. Okay. I'll ask again. Speaker for the motion? Speaker against? An amendment. Okay.
Against the amendment?
Yeah, we're talking against the amendment.
Yeah, I'm speaking against the amendment. Councillors, I think we're missing the point of the actual motion as a whole. The title of the motion is to Actions to Address Displaced Kangaroos, West Swan. This is not just about Walcott Avenue. The issue is a lot larger than Walcott Avenue and extends not only throughout the city of Swan and the development corridor, but into other council areas. This is not just about Walcott Avenue. It's not about the resurfacing of the road either. It's about the issues of the kangaroos. The motion is quite clear in my view in point 1. It's until a satisfactory plan can be actioned to minimise the endangerment of kangaroos and native fauna. I think you'll note from my withdrawn motion, I talked about the potential for road accidents and deaths throughout the city of Swan. It's not just about road accidents and deaths on Walcott Avenue either. It's much broader than that. These kangaroos move throughout the whole area. Pete's actions to remove a small group, I don't know how many they're looking to remove out of Walcott Avenue, will not fix the problem overall. This motion is about getting this stakeholder forum happening as well as closing Walcott Avenue, but it's about making this stakeholder forum a reality, bringing the state government into play, ensuring that the state government and the ministers are aware that we are wanting to do something about it. The last thing we should be hoping for is another round-table discussion where the discussion just goes around and around in circles. We need to action this where we have a stakeholder forum we close Walcott Avenue and we'll see if that solves some of the issues in that area. But I think talking about resurfacing, and it's almost against the intent of the motion. It's about actions to address displaced kangaroos, and I think we should stick to that for the moment. The forum that we're proposing is not about Walcott Avenue, it's about the displaced kangaroos. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any further speakers? Councillor Henderson.
Yes, against, if I may, Mayor. In two parts. Councillors, on Walcott Avenue there's a veterinarian service. And pretty much everyone around the valley knows how to access that, and that's usually by West Swan Road. It's obviously well attended if you've been there, and I think if we make a change to the road network, that would certainly impact people rushing their pet dog to the vet. So in that respect, Murray Road is the place to do the closure. The other area that I wanted to take my view on was the road safety aspect as outlined by the mover. By closing it at Murray Road, there will be very, very low traffic volumes in terms of the roadworks. Now, road safety record is already extremely high. To say that, as it was said in the opening debate, that it would make a significant improvement to the safety, I don't believe is true, because the reality is that our safety records are already very high, and the amount of traffic at a closure at Murray would be very, very small. So I don't believe there's a road safety aspect there at all in terms of the works. So for those two reasons, I can't support the amendment.
Okay. Any other speakers for or against? None. Councillor Lucas.
I'll touch on Councillor Kiley's debate. So why is Walcott Road the only road up for closure if this is about kangaroos throughout the entire urban growth corridor? Why aren't we shutting Nangara Road, Beach Bar Road North and all the other streets? 5 months ago, councillors, or less than 5 months ago, a very similar motion was put on the table to close Walcott Road, and that's why I wanted to put in a definite time period, because that temporary road closure was for a period of 2 years. And when I first saw the Councillor Zanino's amendment, that's why I wanted to define the time period. In relation to Councillor Henderson, gee, if you owned a dog and lived in Brabham and wanted to go to the vet on the corner of West Swan Road and Walcott, you'd be put out. So I think that's a remark that doesn't add any value to this debate. So, and Councillor Zanino said himself, people who live in Henley Brook, they know the road. They'll just drive at the 50 or 70 kilometre speed limit, but everyone else who lives in the city of Swan, as indicated by former councillors' ex-photographs, they must live in Brabham or somewhere else because they don't know how to drive on Walcott Road. So I've moved my amendment, A, so we could have a defined period. It's mainly about closing it so it's fair and equal to all road users of Walcott Avenue, not just to give an advantage to residents of Henley Brook and shut the rest of the community out, but also to coincide with the roadworks. So if the roadworks are going to take a week or so, we can put the road closure advertising out there, close the road, let the staff get on with the resurfacing and the roadworks with very minimal traffic. Only people accessing their houses would then go down that part of Walcott Road, and I think that's fair and equitable to everyone. Lastly, 5 months ago when this same item came up, I've looked at the tape. In either the debate and all the deputations, the word kangaroo was never mentioned once. So if this is really about the plight of the kangaroo in that area, then close the road for 4 weeks, let the roadworks get done. Points 2, 3 and 4 all go along so we can find that solution. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Councillors, now put to the vote. Those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those against are Councillor Henderson, McNamara, Catalano, Kylie and Zanino. The motion is carried. So that now becomes part of the substantive motion. And I have a mover and a seconder. Is there anyone against? No one against. We'll hear that carried. Now move to item C1.9, Councillor Podovnik, the distribution of the City of Swan's annual community calendar.
Okay, so the motion is for the CEO to authorise a review of the distribution of the City of Swan calendar, including having it printed and ready for distribution by November, advising ratepayers where the calendar can be collected in the annual rates notice, investigate the opportunity to promote local businesses in the calendar, investigate the opportunity to include more information about key local events for residents in the calendar, for a report to be presented to the June ordinary meeting of Council on improvements that can be made regarding the calendar's use and distribution. So the reason for the motion is to better communicate with our ratepayers who don't regularly look at our website or use Facebook, where they can collect the City of Swan calendar now that it is no longer posted out to each household, to promote a stronger uptake of the calendar now that its print run and distribution has been limited. Improving our communication about where people can pick up a calendar will help us judge its popularity and thereby the merits of keeping it.
Seconder. Councillor Johnston, is anyone against? There is. Just debate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Podovnik, you open the debate.
Okay, so last month a motion to stop publishing the calendar was lost 3/12. So clearly Council sees the merit in keeping the calendar, which has been produced for the past 12 years. Council is also mindful of costs. So the City stopped making the calendar in 2020, and we made these free calendars available at various locations. The City also cut the calendar's print run in half to keep costs down. So what does the community think of the calendar? I did a shout out on social media and got a very mixed result. 336 people commented on the issue, 118 voted to cull the calendar, and 67 voted to keep it. But it wasn't the number that responded, it was the suggestions people made that was the most telling, in my view. Most of the suggestions related to improving the calendar's distribution. Not everyone is looking at the City's Facebook to find out where they can get a free copy, since there's around 7,000 copies of the calendar still left over. A lot of people don't know they can still pick up copies at the City's administration buildings and other locations. Quite a few people didn't even know the calendar was still being produced after the City stopped mailing out copies. So a lot of suggestions related to what we can put in the calendar, and this review is asking the City to consider its purpose and its reach. A review of our distribution methods will also help promote a stronger uptake of the calendar now that its print run and distribution has been limited. This issue will inevitably come back to Council. I suspect the calendar's days may very well be numbered. But in the meantime, improving our communication about where people can pick up a calendar will help us to judge its popularity and the merits of keeping it. Please support this motion.
Councillor Johnston is the seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, the stuff appeared to be in the officer comment appears to be quite positive. The stuff say having the calendar printed and ready for distribution by November is achievable. It will be challenging logistically depending upon the theme. It could be challenging as well because, of course, we've got new councillors coming in October. But it should be entirely possible to have the calendar ready and the new photos and the new councillors' words, narrative added into it in that time frame, given modern printing technology. One part of the motion that I think staff could consider, if I'm hoping we'll pass this motion, investigate the opportunity to promote local businesses in the calendar. Yes, I think that's a good idea. Could also look at, and it's not in the motion, promoting the City of Swan's business in the calendar. You know, we could look at the libraries and the garbage collection and all the other things we do, but that's something that's not in this motion and could be done at a future time. So it's just exploring the different things. So, councillors, I think this motion has got merit and provides support to the notion of continuing the calendar. So, councillors, I urge you to support this. Thank you.
Councillor Conklin, speaker against the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think there's some merit in some of the content raised by Councillor Podovnik, but there are equally some issues that we're dealing with, which is that horrid little word called COVID-19. If we were to go and publish a whole bunch of events in a calendar and then a whole bunch of events were cancelled because there was another outbreak of some sorts, it wouldn't sit too well with those people that may have started to book or enhance or look at what they're going to do going to these events. And the other thing is we're talking about the local businesses. We established a local business directory for all businesses. So what businesses would you put in there? Would you put, hypothetically, JB Hi-Fi in there instead of Harvey Norman's? Or would you have Bob's Mechanics instead of Joe's Mechanics? Or Jeff's Tyre Service rather than Adam's Tyre Services? We promoted local businesses in the websites, and we have, through all councillors' social media Facebook pages, the opportunity to broadcast as a very strong collective everywhere where you can pick up the calendar. So if those were made prior to the production of the calendar, we could utilise all of those social media components to tell them exactly where it is in our own warded areas.
Thank you. Speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion? Any other speakers? Councillor Lucas.
I'm still deciding. I'll wait for the right reply before I make my final decision, Mr Mayor. But I think one thing that should be looked at is to make it slightly larger, not in size, but we have 15 councillors, so why can't we have a 15 or a 16-month calendar? Because sometimes you want to write something in a calendar or have a look at a date which is just in that 13th or 14th month out from when it was printed, but you don't know because the calendar stops at 12 months. Promoting local businesses, a few years ago, the councillors nominated a business in their particular ward that they wanted to advertise, and I think that's the way it should go as far as businesses. It wouldn't be fair on the staff to select certain businesses and put them up because we'd get complaints. So I've got no problem about promoting local businesses. We've done promoting the City of Swan only a year or two ago. We'd have a picture of the library, at the refuse centre, at different sporting facilities. So I think we just have to keep reinventing good ideas, but there's nothing going back and reinforcing those messages. I only get positive or only ever receive positive comments about the calendar, so I think I'll be supporting its continuation in whichever format. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any further speakers? Councillor Coley.
Mayor, I'm just letting councillors know that I'll be supporting this motion. I think Councillor Congdon's idea of councillors themselves putting it out on Facebook is a good idea. If we get the artwork made up by staff and distributed through councillors' networks, then that's a good idea. I'm, as you are aware, that I didn't vote in favour of reproducing the calendar, but I think if we're going to have the calendar, we might as well try and do and get the most out of it we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor Henderson.
A question, if I may, Mayor.
Question.
In respect of parts 1C, is the intent to promote local businesses for no fee, or is it to charge a fee for someone who might pay the most money to go towards paying for the calendar? I want to be clear about where it's heading.
Councillor Dominic, I think you're the only one who can answer that.
Again, I just want to say it's a review, it's an investigation. There's lots of opportunities to have those discussions. This is what the review would be about. Again, it's not me coming here with a very fixed position. It's going to the staff, seeing what can be done. I'm sure there's a lot that can be done to support businesses, more than I can think of.
Just wanted to be clear that everything's on the table. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No other speakers? There is. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. I'd like to support the motion. I realise that it might be difficult to not favour certain particular businesses, so therefore we could, as Councillor Johnson put in, promote the local places, amenities, or the services of the City of Swan. But in terms of COVID, I can understand that Councillor Congdon mentioned that it's hard to advertise something and then take it back. But due to the way COVID has presented itself, I think we still need to promote those events and then put under there subject to whatever at the time COVID conditions are, because that's how we will be living at this point until things have settled down. So there is no... Yes, I can see his point of view, but I think we still need to promote things, give people something to look forward to, as long as we make it clear that at the time of the event that there could be changes.
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Budovnik, can you close, please?
Hey, just very, very quickly. Again, I just want to reiterate the key words here are review and investigate. I take on board that we can do a lot with social media, but also I just want to remind people, so many people are not on Facebook, they're not on social media. So again, it's just an opportunity to have a look at how we get this message out and as broadly as we possibly can, because the City of Swan is doing a lot to try and get the message out and, you know, where's it falling over and what can we do to improve it. Again, suggestions in relation to how we can promote events, making the calendar larger, putting more space in it, how to promote local businesses. Again, all part of a review, all something to investigate. Please support this motion.
Okay. Put the motion. Those in favour? 9 those against. 3 motions carried. Okay, that's the last of the items we have, councillors. Notice the motion to be considered at the following meeting if given during this meeting. Any councillor notice the motion for the next council meeting? Beauty, there'll be none in Part C. Confidential items have been dealt with, and on that note I will close the council meeting.
Can I just ask, through you, Mr Mayor, what was the vote for the calendar? I didn't catch the number.
There was 3 against.